moon if you find the real sovereign.
Is she the real sovereign? Huh?
Great music from Calvin Owens, Jimmy T99 Nelson, and Grady Gaines. Get the Connection Blues, Tuesday night at 10.
Houston PBS, celebrating 50 years of broadcasting quality programs.
Hi, I'm Drake McClain of the Houston Astros, and congratulations on a wonderful 50 years in Houston. You've made a great contribution, something I enjoy very much. Swinging in a drive to left. Ballpark will never hold it.
Everyone has memories of Nolan Ryan.
He gave the franchise a great shot in the arm. He brought with him records in the making that are the very heart and essence of baseball. More than that, he brought back a sense of hometown pride.
Lots and lots of letters, daily, phone calls. I enjoy responding, talking to people. I'd like to wish Houston PBS a happy 50th anniversary. Congratulations.
Houston PBS, there for you then, here for you now.
Child's window to the world. What will they see?
Houston PBS is a service of the University of Houston, learning, leading. Tonight's programs are made possible in part by
And they said, just let us win. They treat us like we're in the Fortune 500.
When it's morning in Cameroon, who else is going to call you back at 10 at night? I can really relate to these guys. I'm telling you, 10 years ago, I was a maverick upstart, too.
They showed me point-click guns. Now, that's my kind of technology.
That's why we're here. The other bank, they wouldn't give us time of day. These guys, it's a whole new ball game.
The following program contains material some viewers may feel is unsuitable for younger or more sensitive audience members. Houston PBS urges parental guidance. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the future. PBS Digital.
I just wanna make love to you.
The Rolling Stones, when they first landed, they're all talking about Muddy Waters and people, you know, and people were going like, who the hell's he?
Hello, girl.
I was asked to play with Muddy and Otis Spann, and that was unbelievable. Man, I was just gobsmacked.
Whatever it was. And right in the middle of it, he goes, well, I thought, that's it. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Boom.
We've been around this block 3 times. There's no spot.
Volkswagen proudly sponsors the PBS film series that explores the power of the blues.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
I lose my baby, ain't that sad? Oh, yeah, I once had a pretty little girl. I lose my baby, ain't that sad? Well, you know you can't spend what you ain't got. You can't lose what you ain't never had. You ain't got. You can't lose what you ain't never had.
In the late 50s and early 60s, the blues crossed the Atlantic, and it permanently altered the landscape of popular music. Here are some names of the kids who caught the blues fever at the time. Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, John Mayall, George Harrison. They listened obsessively to rare records by Big Bill Broonzy and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Muddy Waters. They took what they heard and they made it their own. And after that, nothing was the same. Mike Figgis, who directed Leaving Las Vegas and whose first theatrical feature was called Stormy Monday, was a natural to take on this phenomenon because he was a part of it. Right out of college, he was the one-man horn section for a blues band called the Gas Board, which was fronted by future Roxy Music superstar Brian Ferry. For this picture, Mike talked to other British blues pioneers and set up a jam session with Jeff Beck, Tom Jones, and Van Morrison, which is really something extraordinary. Red, White, and Blues really captures the universal spirit of the blues, a spirit that anyone can partake of if they want it badly enough.
Say you fancy just now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a really
Let's get the word out.
Really get in it. Yeah.
There's no changes on that, is there?
Am I wrong?
Oh.
Fall in love with you. Tell me, am I wrong? Well, fall in love with you. While your other man was out there, cheating and lying, stepping all over you. Am I wrong? So tight. Yeah, going out. Yeah. Am I wrong? How are we going? Good. Much like.
Just stretch right in. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, my homie
town. Oh, it's fine. It's a hard key for alto. Yeah, how's that?
Yeah.
Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah?
The most popular form of popular music was the big band stuff from the posh hotels. Ambrose and his orchestra from the Mayfair Hotel, somebody else, Sidney Lipton from the Dorchester and all that. The dance bands were the big thing in those days. Musicians played in big bands, slaving over a hot score to earn their money, and then went down and played jazz after hours for nothing, for the love of it.
Bear in mind that in the 40s, the jazz scene was these clubs where people played records and discussed it in serious sort of tones, you know. There was no blues scene. There was half a dozen people in Britain who knew what it was. It began in the very late 40s, really, but it didn't get to a big scale with the public until, I suppose, really, when we started up in the band, 53 with Ken Collier, 54, I took the band over, about then.
The first jazz band that I ever saw was a Freddie Randall jazz band. Very shortly after that, I saw the Humphrey Lyttelton band, which was much more sort of what I would call authentic.
When I got to London, I discovered there was this movement led by Humphrey Lyttelton, the revivalist movement, not the traditional movement, playing jazz of the kind that was recorded in the 20s in Chicago. Oliver, Armstrong, Morton, and so on.
It was a revivalist thing in the sense that it was, those of us who played it, and I was one of them, had this idea that we were going to pick up where Jelly Roll Morton and all those people left off.
Woke up this morning when chickens was crowing for day. Felt on the right side of my pillow. My man had gone away. By his pillow, he left a note reading, "I'm sorry, Jane, you got my goat. No time to marry, no time to settle down." I'm a young woman and ain't done running round.
The revivalists, for instance, wouldn't tolerate bebop.
Really?
No. Oh. And the bebop people wouldn't tolerate revivalism. They called us mouldy figs.
Yeah.
And then came Ken Collier, and that again sort of sub-split the split anyway.
Ken was a strange man, actually. Great trumpet player.
He's a man who's been I feel, rather misrepresented by many people who claim to represent his ideals and everything else. And I first knew Ken, indeed, my first band, which is the Oliver Style band, we got together with Ken in 1948. He liked George Lewis and the revived archaic New Orleans was his bag, whereas classic New Orleans was our bag, and we thought, well, it doesn't really work, so it didn't.
I don't think we've had a New Orleans style trumpet player of his equal.
And finally, he managed to get, well, he got to New Orleans by joining the Merchant Navy and jumping ship at Mobile, Alabama, and going to New Orleans without a passport or a work permit.
He went over there and found all these very old boys and played with them and adopted the way they played.
There are all these legends that he made the band play slightly out of tune to get
No.
Not true?
Rubbish.
No, rubbish.
Total rubbish. He never played. Ken never played out of tune. Ken never played out of tune. Ken was a wonderful ear. Sadly, he didn't know any music, because he would have been a lot better off if he had known some music.
He never punched me, threatened to. But that, as I say, was nothing to do with the guitar.
Ken Collier was the closest thing to George Lewis. I think that you could find it on this side of the water, but I didn't know. I mean, it's interesting to someone who wasn't even nowhere near being musically savvy at that time, a young teenager, that I would know that.
Yeah.
It was all, so it has to be intuitive.
And what was amusing was that there was Ken Collier in the club. Louis Armstrong played, and I watched Ken, because Ken, he'd been the great deviator, the man that stopped jazz being jazz by killing the New Orleans tradition.
The devil.
Yes, the devil. So when he'd finished blowing wonderfully, with Humph, I think, I went over to Ken and said, "What do you think, Ken?" I said, mischievous. Ken said, "He'll do."
Also sat and listened enthralled to Big Bill Broonzy, sitting on a chair in the middle of the room, playing the guitar and talking about the blues. He was one of the first to come over, billed as the last of the Mississippi bluesmen in 1951 when he first came over, or 50. And of course, since then, there have been about 100.
We also went on tour with Big Bill Broonzy, who was a lovely man. Terrible liar, of course. He said he owned 8 farms and all that. When he died, he did nothing at all, but why not?
Broonzy had a big body of work.
Yeah.
Which not everyone is familiar with, where he would be in bands, playing with piano players.
Yeah.
Booked Broonzy for the concerts, but asked him not to play electric guitar, and also to play the old field blues, country blues.
He was living a kind of a lie, as we found out later, because one got the impression he'd come straight from the Delta into a studio and then into fame.
Well, that was an important lie, though, wasn't it?
An important lie, but the real truth was he came out of Chicago, where he'd sung rhythm and blues at one time. Didn't matter, did it? He could play and he could sing wonderfully.
He was, in fact, a forerunner of the Muddy Waters and the Buddy Guys and people like that.
Think about all the people that came up through Big Bill Broonzy. He was like the Art Blakey of the blues world. You know, he had Memphis Slim and the original Sonny Boy Williamson, Jazz Gillum, Big Maceo, Josh Altheimer. There was so many people.
Broonzy got shown on TV too. The other thing that he was big here was because on something like Newsnight or one of those, they showed some footage and it was so spellbinding that I think anyone that was leaning in that direction got it from there.
Big Bill Broonzy was the first thing I heard. You know, he came over and he was on 6-5 Special, I think, and I just loved the rawness of it, but he was very musical with it.
To me, the connotation was black music was acoustic and white rock and roll was electric.
Also Brownie McGee, right? I know that Brownie himself actually played in the club I was in. I was there at the time, you know, as a boy sitting at his feet, you know. That was the first time close up I'd ever seen somebody play the blues.
The blind one wanted to go for a pee. So the crippled one said, you ain't go with him, you know, we don't always aim in and so on. So at that moment he came back and said, what are you saying? And they had a terrible race round the table, the crippled one trying to escape from the stick of the blind one. And the room was full of quite valuable pictures and objects. It was a heart-rendering moment.
57 was Ed Tharp, came with a Fender, with a solid Fender and an amp, and 58 Sonny and Brownie, and Brownie had a little amp and acoustic guitar with a pickup on it.
Yes.
And of course Legend 58 Muddy Waters with an amp and electric guitar.
Sister Rosetta Thorpe was big in my life at that point.
My sister played most really good rock and roll blues guitar.
Ripping into gospel songs, and she played electric guitar and had a Hammond B3 and a drummer, you know, as a part of church music, which was like, wow.
sister, Rosetta Tharpe, on stage, of course, had practically a halo. But off stage, she liked a brandy. She was quite randy as well. I wasn't rhyming on purpose. And behaved very badly, I'm glad to say. Mulligan was worried before we went on tour with her, but he soon wasn't. In fact, he used to have to lock his door.
We came on the old John B, my grandpappy and me, over the 7 seas, we did roam.
It was very much a part of my introduction to groups like Lonnie Donegan, Skiffle, all of that stuff. Yeah, and it was kind of on the way out by the time I got my hands on a guitar, but it was very much formative stuff for me.
So broken, I wanna go home.
Skiffle was an influence as well. I, tried to play in skiffle bands when we were young.
Once I heard Lonnie Donegan, that was it. I had to pick up a guitar.
The thing about skiffle, it was an accessible music that a couple of people with guitars could...
It was sort of British, wasn't it?
It was purely British.
We play spirituals, gospel, blues, jazz, pop songs of the day.
Lonnie Donegan, when he first started, and all the hits he had, I didn't realise at the time that they were all Leadbelly songs.
Because it was only much later, in the kind of late 80s, I suddenly realised where all these songs had come from, probably 30 years later.
Well, it is a total mix of primarily Afro-American, but not exclusively.
Donegan was huge then, and this skiffle phenomenon was starting there.
Was there a comparable movement in the States?
Well, there was a comparable movement, yes, which was just plain folk song. The American sort of student age generation discovered their own folk music.
I mean, like Peter, Paul and Mary?
Yes, and the Kingston Trio and people like that.
In the spring of '55, Jack and June arrived in London to find a burgeoning and surprisingly passionate folk scene. Would-be folkies were putting a new spin on traditional tunes. This do-it-yourself take on folk music became known as skiffle.
Don't know what train he's on, won't you tell me where he's gone?
Skiffle ain't worth shit. I don't even want to talk about it. It's disgusting. With some half-assed non-musicians who thought it would be a cute idea to buy a guitar, learn one chord, and sing, "Takes a worried man to sing a worried soul."
Were you influenced by people like Ramblin' Jack Elliott? Did you meet him when he came to London?
Yeah.
Did he make an impact?
No. Next.
Really not?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was a faker. Well, I'm a Woody Guthrie man,
Sure.
So somebody who does imitations of Woody Guthrie doesn't impress me much. I do that.
I think Lonnie Donegan took his name from Lonnie Johnson, yes. And it would be Alonso, would have been his name actually in Spanish, Alonso.
Turns her face a little, then turns her head a while, but everybody knows she's only putting on a style. Right? It's not a folk song, it's a pop song.
Actually, since I've been going a lot to Middle Tennessee, I've realised now where a lot of these skiffle tunes came from. They were renditions of bluegrass tunes, which originally came out from to the Appalachians, via Scottish and Irish settlers. Although the songs were rewritten, songs like Down in the Mines and Rock on a Line.
Ken Collier was doing the skiffle thing in the intermission or whatever of the trad jazz band thing, and then when Chris Barber got his own band that Chris started doing it, then Lonnie Donegan was part of that. He was a banjo player, but he played guitar and the skiffle stuff. So all this was evolving out of what you call jazz then. All it came under the heading of jazz.
A couple of years ago, I went with Van Morrison to Belfast, and we put on what he called a skiffle session, skiffle concert, right? And when we got there, we found, quite coincidentally, that Dr. John was working around the corner, gave him a whistle, and he came roaring round, and he, Lonnie Donegan, my God, Rock Island Line, the greatest record was ever goddamn made. You started me off. I started you off. We got this right.
There was a kind of hybrid between skiffle and traditional jazz, occasionally flirted with blues. And that was also very interesting.
British blues record I think I heard was Humphrey Lyttelton's Bad Penny Blues, which was an instrumental. And Johnny Parker, the pianist in the band, played a fantastic boogie woogie on that.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Muted drumming.
Yeah.
And apparently they did that song like that because Harper's band didn't show up or something.
All right.
So it was just his rhythm section.
Good job, eh?
Exactly.
I said to Johnny Parker, the piano player at the time, let's do that thing we play in the club. When I heard it, I was horrified. Had I heard a test pressing of it before I'd gone on holiday, I'd have said, I'm not having that put out.
Yeah, he said, it was only a few musicians there, so I had to make it sound big.
Left hand of the piano was distorted, so it had a sort of bonging noise, bong, bong, bong. The drums were heavily, offbeat brushes, and the brushes were heavily over-recorded. And it was actually balanced in the studio by Joe Meek, who later became famous in pop circles.
Yeah, Joe Meek. So, because I recorded with him in the early 60s, and he was saying that, to mic, that's why the piano was so loud.
I've always referred to him as the first of the creative sound mixers. In other words, he was doing a whole lot of things that I wouldn't have approved of at the time. But when I came back from holiday and found it was number 19 in the top 20, I kind of shut up.
With Joe Meek, to each his own. I mean, I've got nothing against. I don't hold it against it, but but I mean, whatever. But when it, well, yeah, but when it gets in the way of the music, instead of getting the music done, there's something else. It's like for good-looking girls, it's the casting couch. You know what I mean? With heterosexual men, because he was like, oh, you got a bit of a, I said, yeah, those jeans fit you well, don't they? I said, well, fuck yeah. I said, oh, it looks like you've got a bit of a, and I said, yeah, well, it serves its purpose, you know what I mean? So it was all that, and I thought, what the fuck is he on about? So then it was carrying on, and then he was saying that he was going to get these tapes released, EMI was going to have it. We went to EMI, they didn't know anything about it. Then I went to Decca, he didn't know anything. So then I went for it, and I went back up to the thing, I said, fuck. So I went across the desk at him, and it was the first time I ever saw anybody fly. I mean, it's unbelievable. It was like Peter Pan. Next thing I knew, he was, 1 minute he was standing behind the desk, and the next minute he was sitting on the mantelpiece. How the fuck did he get up there?
Bad Penny Blues. Bad Penny, yeah, that was the Johnny Parker solo out of Bad Penny Blues was used on the Lady Madonna, wasn't it? Yeah, quite right, yeah.
Note for note, it was the same kind of feel. Yeah. It was a 4-bar thing, but with 8 to a bar overlaid on the top.
Turned up at this rehearsal room, and Eddie Cochran was sitting there with his leather waistcoat, leather trousers, and his Gretsch guitar, and his cowboy boots. And Eddie said, anybody here ever heard of Ray Charles? And I don't think anybody put their hand up. I hadn't heard of him. And he said, well, this is one tune I want to do in my show. And he went... Started that Ray Charles lick on What Did I Say? And we all went, what was that?
Hey, mama, don't you treat me wrong. Come and love you, daddy, all night long, all night long. Hey, hey.
And Eddie Cochran really introduced the music of Ray Charles to the masses of this country on that tragic tour when he was killed.
Well, because John Lee Hooker was the first one to come over for a club tour. He'd previously been over on one of the blues packages in concert, but this was the, you know, when he came over to do a tour with us. You know, that was a big success.
We backed Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, T-Bone Walker, Champion Jack Dupree, and Memphis Slim, Jimmy Witherspoon.
At the time I was with John, I was asked to play, by Mike Verne, I was asked to play with Muddy and Otis Spann, and they came in to London to do, I think, like a promotional tour or something. And that was unbelievable, and they were in their heyday, and they had these big silk suits on, and man, I was just gobsmacked. I could hardly move.
Had a pretty little girl, but I lose my baby boy, it ain't that bad. Had a pretty little girl, I lose my baby boy, it ain't that bad. Can't spend what you ain't got. Can't lose some little girl that you ain't never had.
But I was called to the session, and everything was in the key of F sharp or B naturally. And in those days, I could only play like 3 or 4 keys: C, G, F, and having to play with guitar players, I could play a bit in E and A.
As long as I kept good time, that's all. I felt really proud of myself just doing that, because I never had the technique, and it never actually interested me. The only technique that I have is just by default, because I played so long, or when someone shouts, change the something in a chorus, I still don't know what a chorus is. I'm like playing with Sonny Boy, when they just change, and believe me, they're right and you're wrong.
Had money in the bank, but I got busted people, ain't that bad.
And I saw Muddy a few years later, and I just mentioned to him, I said, oh, that recording session, man, I said, it was terrible. You know, I mean, everything was in F sharp or B. I said, I was very uncomfortable, I'm sorry about that. He said, shit, man. You should have told me how to move the capo. But you were so in awe of somebody like Muddy Waters, you didn't say, hey, man, can you change the key?
And a sweet little home, but it got went down, people ain't that bad. That's my own fault. People ain't that bad. You can't spend what you ain't got. Can't lose something good you ain't never had.
Well, T-Bone Walker did a tour with us. He was the second one who did an actual complete tour, and then I did scattered performances here and there with Sonny Boy Williamson.
Sonny Boy Williamson came to play with the Yardbirds, and Sonny Boy stayed on in Europe for quite a while, and because Giorgio had this band, the Yardbirds, it seemed like a good idea to put the two things together, and that was a hardcore experience, and quite frightening. And I mean, it almost could have turned me off. I think what was life-saving about it for me was that I was not a huge fan of Sonny Boy in the first place, and because I was like a bit of a mouth around this stuff too, I think we didn't hit it off very well.
More with some musicians than others. I mean, John Lee Hooker was notorious for doing all kinds of, which actually was part of what made his music his music.
It's kind of rough because, you know, he's got no idea of, no concept of chord changes or where they come or anything like that, so you really have to be on your toes. All he really had to know was the key of E and just watch carefully, or still like intuitively feel where he's going to make the changes.
But John Lee wouldn't give you a clue. You had to hear it and feel it. But that was the magic of the original Delta blues, because they just changed whenever they felt like it. They weren't limited to a structure. But to play with these guys was an education, because they took us right back to the roots again.
Love led astray from your heart. Keep us so near while apart. I'm not alone in the night when I can have all the love you write. I memorize every line. And I kiss the name that you signed. And darling, then I read again right from the start. Love letter straight from your heart. I'm not alone in the night when I can have all the love you write. I memorize every line. And I kiss the name that you signed. And darling, then I read again right from the start. Love letter straight from your heart.
That was the best one.
That was terrific.
That was gorgeous, man. Jumping with my boss, Sid in the city. Jumping with my boss, Sid in the city. Mr. President of the DJ committee.
So I'd heard all that before we started working down the Flamingo. So we had some of that kind of stuff and a bit of Ray Charles under our belt. So when we started down the Flamingo and all the Black American Giants were in there, they thought, this is home, boy.
I could go to the West End, to the Scene Club, when I was 15 years old, and to the Flamingo when I was 17, 18 years old.
We landed ourselves a job round the corner of the Flamingo Club, which was a jazz club. But on weekends, it was rented out by a guy that later became our manager. His name was Rick Gunnell. And Rick used to put on all-night sessions. There's a jazz club with an R&B band playing for dancing. The place was really frequented by Black American GIs that were stationed over here in the Air Force.
The best place, the place that I was scared to go until I actually was in bands, was the Flamingo.
One night would be Larry Williams and John Guitar Watson. Next night would be John Lee Hooker. Next night would be Howling Wolf.
There was a great sort of West Indian contingent and night people, club people that worked in other clubs until 3 a.m. and then they'd come down to Flamingo because we'd start at midnight and end at 6 a.m. every Friday, every Saturday. And on Sundays play afternoon sessions for the stragglers that couldn't get back to base.
Next weekend to be Chuck Berry, Nina Simone. You could go and see all these people and sit there and actually learn your trade.
And tell her the shape I'm in. Please run, my mama, and tell her the shape I'm in.
The Flamingo was an established jazz club. There was a baby grand piano in there for the jazz musicians. They wouldn't let me play it because I was playing Fats Domino.
It was just a sweaty place that seemed to never close, particularly in the hours of darkness.
People like John Mayall would drive down from Manchester on a weekend to hang out in the club and play in the club and sit in at the club before John got a chance to bring his own musicians down from Manchester.
It was primarily a black club, you know. It was like mostly West Indians would go in there maybe to listen to blue beat or ska or jazz or whatever. But it was like, and it was all night, you know. Most nights, I think it would go pretty late, and then on the weekends it would be all night and people would get hurt.
Just based around the Flamingo and just around the London area.
And was it always pretty full?
Oh yeah, it's packed out.
There was a great Jamaican disc jockey called Count Suckle who had a Jamaican club in Carnaby Street, of all places. They called it the Roaring Twenties. And it was just a Jamaican club. We opened it as a band with Count Suckle's records. And Suckle had this fantastic record collection. You know, James Brown's Night Train. He had the mixture. He had a great source in Memphis that he used to send all the latest black American imports. And plus he had all the West Indian stuff.
The Roaring Twenties, seeing a lot of ska music in the early days. Flamingo.
We was in the Flamingo one night playing, and someone said to me, "Did you see that black guy sitting in the front of the row looking at the well, they were all black. They're all GIs." I used to say, "They're all black, GIs. They come down for the weekend, you know." No, it was Otis Redding. I said, "Get away, Otis Redding. Get off." So I'm sitting in the dressing room and the door opens and Otis Redding walks in. Comes up to me and says, "You are a great singer." Oh, dear me, it's like Otis Redding. He is. So hello, Otis, how you doing? He said, "I want you to be on I'm doing a TV show next week called Ready, Steady, Go. So I want you to be my guest." And I said, "Pinch me, I think this is all not happening, you know."
I've been loving you too long to stop now.
My manager and I opened a club in Brixton called the Ram Jam Club. And I saw Otis, I saw that Stax Review on a Sunday afternoon. I biked over, I cycled from Chelsea over the river to Brixton to see that Sunday afternoon session. It was fantastic.
Very exciting, because I come from near Guildford, you know, country boy, coming up, and probably sleeping on Charing Cross Station, you know, and stuff like that, but very exciting.
And I hated the name Georgie Fame, because I've been saddled with this name by Larry Parnes as one of his exotic sort of rock and roll stable of singers. But when we went down to Flamingo and the GI was saying, "Hey, Fame, mother," it sounded okay. It sounded hip.
In return,
up yours before we think.
Straight away, yeah. Okay, I need to look at you again.
What will we do later on? What kind of life would we have? Just in case we both go wrong. I would give up my woman, you would give up your man. But it don't make sense to.
The whole thing kind of took off for me when I met John Mayall. And I mean, I had already gone a long way down the road, but he had a massive collection.
Did he?
Of records. Lived in Blackheath. I lived in a sort of wardrobe in the top of his house. And I would spend all day just going through his record collection, listening to stuff and deciding what the band was going to play, God bless him.
Oh, please.
Yeah, we need lyrics. We're gonna do this again. That you want me.
I was off listening to Ray Charles and Muzz Allison, and then I started to hear people like Oscar Brown Jr.
There was a Muddy Waters EP. I think there was a Little Walter EP. Then maybe Josh White.
Josh White. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Josh White singing Hush of the Rising Sun.
Really?
Yeah. And the B-side was Strange Fruit.
And art college kids who were these enthusiasts, so they would take me down to record shops and give me records.
Well, when I heard Sarah Vaughan, she was my favourite. Well, one of my, Jerry Southern was my favourite jazz singer.
I started to hear some of the early VJ recordings, John Lee Hooker, Jimmy Reed.
Jerry Lewis, Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard.
Great guitar players, that was what really caught my ear, you know, and it was Cliff Gallup with Gene Vincent and James Burton, who played with Ricky Nelson.
Sonny Terry Brown, Lightning Hopkins, and of course Ray Charles, who was a big discovery.
My mother told me. My mother told me. Before she passed away.
Said, son, when I'm gone.
Son, when I'm gone.
Don't forget to pray.
Don't forget to pray. There'll be hard times.
Hard times.
Hard times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And who knows better than I?
And so I got caught up with Monk and Mingus and all of those guys in the same period, and was listening to it all at the same time, you know. And I would buy a John Lee Hooker album on Riverside and someone, you know, a Lee Morgan album on Riverside, and it all, to me, it was all the same thing.
I had a woman, Lord, who's always around. You know, he's gone up the octave. I lost my money. She put me down.
After that, I heard Leadbelly and Lonnie Johnson.
In my collection, I had a whole lot of people. I had Mahalia Jackson in the gospel field, and John Lee Hooker, Memphis Slim, and Muddy Waters.
There's a Canal Street Blues, Dipper Mouse Blues. So I bought those as well, you see.
As long as they had blues in it.
Yeah, as long as it had the name Blues on it. I bought it.
And we would find some list somewhere or some American record store where we could ride off and get lists of stuff, and we'd kind of take what luck.
I got them through a magazine called Vintage Jazz Mart, which was for sale or auction thing, you know, private collectors. And I mainly got them through there.
The first actual long-playing record I ever owned as a 14, 15-year-old kid was a Fats Domino LP with a lot of great tunes on it, you know.
I'm going to the river, gonna jump overboard and drown.
My parents bought me a record player one Christmas, and there was two records that came with it. And they came via a seaman who lived downstairs to me and was always going to the U.S.
You know, if somebody had been to America, they'd always bring back a blueser.
I was given some blues records, 3 or 4 blues albums, and I was studying those and finding out what I liked.
Whoa, tell me, baby. Stay last night. Why don't you hear me crying?
school, you know, when somebody turned me on to the folk festival, the blues album. And Buddy playing just the most amazing stuff.
The Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, Howlin' Wolf, blue, dark blue cover. Sonny Boy Williamson. Sonny Boy Williamson sings Bring It On Home, and Howlin' Wolf sings Sugar Mama, and that's got Buddy Guy on it singing Worried Blues and Don't Know Which Way to Go.
Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions, I'd never heard that. That style of playing. And it just happens to be that record is a milestone in most rock and roll, isn't it?
We used to have record listening parties, you know, on Saturday nights, and go all the way through the night, and just listening to all, because I used to get the, this was when LPs were around, and I used to get the American imports, and we get all the latest Horace Silver stuff, and Errol Garner, and Cannonball Adderley, and all these things.
You listen to
a new one,
everything.
with the cardboard covers, you know.
Oh, yeah. The cardboard mistake.
This is the real thing, you know, and all the prestige stuff, and the Riverside, you know.
Sitting on top of the world. Oh yeah, there's an extra. It's like an extra bar, an extra 2 bars.
That's Wolf playing harmonica, I think. Yeah, Wolf. And then he used James Cotton. No Wolf. Yeah. Little Wolf there.
Sitting on top of the world.
Another great source was American Forces Network. Again, every house had a pretty good radio, and you could tune into AFN, which was being from Frankfurt.
I used to hear the American Forces Network. They had their own radio program.
This is Willis Conover from Washington, D.C. And like for us, Washington, D.C. was another planet.
So I got, you know, all day this great input of American folk music.
I used to send requests for jazz records into the March of Dimes things on the AFN. The Buck Johnson and Kid Ory and Louis Armstrong.
They call it Stormy Monday. They tell me Tuesdays are just as bad. Yes, they do. They call it Stormy Monday. They tell me Tuesdays are just as bad. Monday Blues Part 1 and Part 2. We were doing a session for Chris Blackwell from Island Records, Guy Stevens, And while they were setting up all the equipment and all that, they just said to us, just play a couple of numbers so we can get the mic sort of tested out, you know.
Yeah.
And we just did Stormy Monday Blues. And then we did some other things. And then a couple of months later, I saw this come out under Little Joe Cook. And I thought, they never told me it was going to be under Little Joe Cook. They never did in those days. It was just it, you know.
The eagle flies on a Friday. Yes, on Saturday. I draw my pay. The eagle flies on a Friday. Yes, on Saturday, I draw my pay.
And then Vicky Wickham got hold of it for Ready Steady Go, and she got in touch with the office, the Rick Gunner office, and said we'd like to book Little Joe Cook for Ready Steady Go. And they said, he's not available. And they said, why not? They said, we can't get in touch with him. And then they got in touch with Iron Records and said, we want this guy on the... But when they said it was Chris Farlow, you couldn't have Little Joe Cook because it's a pseudonym for Chris Farlow.
Yeah.
They didn't believe it. They said, oh, come on, don't be silly. And it was us, me and Albert and the band.
'Cause I like to sing the blues. I also like to sing rock and roll. Let's have some guitar playing here. Yeah.
I was in America a little while ago, last year, and I was introduced to a guy, a black blues musician. Forgot his name now. Well known. And the guy said, I'd like to introduce you to an English singer. He said, oh yeah, what's his name? He said, Chris Farlow. He said, Chris Farlow? Dan, he said, I know 2 Chris Farlows. And I looked at him and I said, 2 Chris Farlows? He said, no, Chris Farlow. He said, yeah, you're Chris Farlow. He said, I know another Chris Farlow. He sang Stormy Monday Blues on Sue. I said, that's me. And he looked at me and he went, no, this guy's black.
Well, whatever I'm gonna do, they call it Stormy Monday Blues. Yeah, Stormy Monday.
So this has been a very important record for me, and I think for all of us, because it's regarded as one of the great blues records ever made in England.
Started with a cheap acoustic. I played for a year, borrowing guitars from friends, whatever I could get my hands on, But then the first decent guitar was 1958, I think, Christmas of '58. My folks bought me a Hofner archtop guitar.
About 11, 12. With a 2-string guitar, I couldn't afford the other strings. But it was a shop-made guitar, which is hard to believe when you looked at it, but it was.
I took up the guitar when I was about 9.
I guess I would have had a Hofner Senator. Right. Hofner Senator.
It was an acoustic guitar, but we used to stick microphones behind it, and then put that through sometimes a homemade amplifier.
I started off on ukulele because the action on my father's guitar was so high. Yeah. You needed a pair of pliers to press the strings down, So ukulele was what I started off with, the George Formby do-it-yourself method.
Chicago Road, I bought my first guitar, Spanish guitar. I put steel strings on and they brought the bridge off. Somebody took me back to his house and played me some Lonnie Johnson. I thought it was the best thing I've ever heard.
I think the first electric guitar I had was a Hofner.
And then I bought myself a solid with 3 pickups and a tremolo, and I thought it was the same guitar that Buddy Holly played. It turned out it was a cheap imitation. It was the Grazioso or something.
When I went in the army and was in Korea, I bought a 6-string guitar, and I added the bottom 2 strings.
Oh, harmony. I had a couple of harmonies. One was a semi-acoustic one, and one was a more of a solid.
Eric Clapton brought the Gibson into me anyway, Les Paul. But there was the Gretsch, Eddie Cochran. What did he play? Eddie Cochran, was it a Gretsch or it was like a Gretsch or maybe a Gibson? It was a Gretsch.
I mean, you couldn't get hold of American instruments at that time. You just bought what you could.
Yeah, it was like actual fish colour, and they called it cherry. The colour was cherry, but it used to fade, and then it would look like there's a lot of fish actually involved in that guitar.
There was some other odd kind of European makes, which sometimes if you crank that through an amp, you actually got quite an interesting sound.
We only had an old Vox amplifier. It was a lovely old thing, though. A great big light on it, like an ignition light.
Scotty Moore's guitar playing on Trying to Get to You, for Lieber and Stoller, My Baby Left Me, and I loved Scotty Moore's guitar playing. I really would like to, if I were Bruce playing something else, I really would try and take it up with Scotty Moore somehow.
The first time I heard it that way was with Freddie King, and a friend had Hideaway on the single. But the single had the B-side of Hideaway was I Love the Woman, with a guitar solo in it that was single note and lots of bending things, and almost like rhapsodic in its composition. It was perfect, and that became the new Holy Grail, you know, for me.
And you'd hear these records doing all these bends. You think, well, how are they doing that? But we eventually figured out that they had very light strings.
Well, they were bending strings, way back in Johnny and the Otis and the hat. Johnny Otis, whatever it was. And right in the middle of it, he goes. Well, I thought that's it. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Milk Car Blues, and I don't know who wrote that or recorded that, because Eddie Cochran was the first guy I heard it. And he had that kind of T-Bone Walker introduction on guitar. And I thought, wow, that's real blues guitar playing.
You could tell that there was something going on there. It wasn't. It was a major, sort of minor, major bend.
I would take the guitar every time I pick it up and trill my hand. A lot of the kids think I push up and down, but I don't. I just trill it like that.
And then when Alexis Corner and Cyril Davis kind of kicked off the thing at the Marquee, mainly an experimental type of situation, really, in the trad-dominated club world.
When Alexis formed the new Blues Incorporated, he took Graham Bond, Dick Extell-Smith, Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce with him. And they were all part of the regular Friday night jam session jazz group in the Flamingo Club.
Was that thing of like seeing an English guy playing an electric. The first time I saw an English guy playing electric guitar was with Alexis.
I picked up the Melody Maker one day, and the headline was, you know, Alexis brings amps into the club, you know, and this deafening noise, which in actual fact was probably one Marshall amplifier.
Like all you pretty women, leave me by my hand. Till the whole world knows about the she
And he had a K. Right. And I got a K.
Yeah.
And covered it in Fablon because I didn't like, you know, black Fablon because I didn't like the colour.
When Eric Clapton came in the band, of course, that revolutionised the whole thing, because he was a person who knew the music thoroughly and knew the feel of it and had the right touch that nobody else seemed to have at that time.
Oh, I thought Clapton was a great blues player. I didn't think he was God, despite what people wrote on walls. But Clapton is God, they used to write. I don't know what God thought about it. But no, he was a very, very good blues player.
I had a little following from a band called the Yardbirds, you know, that band, and I left in a very public way, you know, sort of threw my toys out of the pram because they wanted a hit. And I was very, very conscious of having a mission, like a blues mission. And so I kind of said, well, I'm quitting, you know, I'm out. And then John asked me to join. I had like a 3-week period or a month where I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and then John called me.
Where had the mission come from?
Interesting, I don't know. I don't know. I felt like I was convinced at some point in my teens that if I didn't do it, no one would, or that someone had to do it, and I'd been chosen, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
And you were so passionate about it.
Yeah, and arrogant too.
Yeah.
You know, I was like a self-appointed ambassador of the blues to this country.
Yeah.
And I was very judgmental about anybody that wasn't doing it the way I thought it should be done.
In the early 60s, there was absolutely no acceptance of any other kind of music. I mean, I know now people get degrees in jazz and all kinds of things. But in the early 60s, you know, I distinctly remember being asked at music college what kind of music I liked. And so I said, well, I do like Paul Hindemith and Igor Stravinsky, but I also like Fats Domino and Ray Charles. And the teacher said, well, you've got a choice, either forget about that or go.
We arrived at Birmingham University to play at one of these university dances, one of our first gigs outside of London, I think, and we were carrying the gear upstairs to get to the place where we were playing, and there was a band on stage already, and it was the Spencer Davis Group, and Steve was singing Georgia on My Mind. And I'll never forget it, the sound of that voice and his delivery.
Georgia, yeah. Oh, Georgia, a song of love comes as sweet and clear. Yes, moonlight through the pine.
As a musician, let's say, and probably as a piano player as well, and having learnt the harmony and playing E-flat and all that kind of stuff, I was really more interested in the music rather than the whole social change, which that was the massive thing, really.
Black cloud crossed my mind. You misrun my soul. Feel so suicidal Even hate my rock and roll, I'm rolling. Wanna die, yeah. If I ain't dead already, woo, girl, you know the reason why.
The Beatles was doing what they call rock and roll, a different type of thing, but I could still feel and hear blues into what they were doing.
I think the Beatles had a lot of influence on encouraging people who didn't know how to read or write music. They could pick up an instrument and make some music and actually be accepted. And all it took was for them to get to the top of the charts. They said, whoa, is this possible? You know, we'll have a go.
The Beatles were a little more sophisticated, I guess, and they were writing their own material based on American culture. But the way they took it back to America with its innocent charm, if you like, and its freshness, was an eye-opener, and that took that music into mainstream America, whereas before it had been the lid had been kept on.
I mean, the Beatles did in their early days sing a few blues and so on, but on the whole they were very inventive. The Stones less so, what some people used to call the Thames Valley cotton fields.
I just wanna make love to you, baby. Love to you, baby. Sweet love to you, baby. Love to you. Hey!
The Stones were a straight-ahead blues band, basically.
Jagger had a genuine feeling for it, and so did Richard, and their early music, I think, is pretty powerful, and definitely black influenced, but it doesn't sound like it. It's not imitative quite. And there's a few comments when they went to America from black artists, you know, say it's fine, white boys playing this stuff. More people are going to listen to us, which was probably true.
I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna get high. Show it my name. Where you going? Stick like with my reefer. I ain't gonna be messing around with no cocaine.
British blues with John Mayall, I think he's the master of it. He's about the first that I can think that really brought it out. But then I started hearing many others. When Cream came, that was it.
I had met Jack and Ginger on and off around the Ealing Club and the Marquee. But I mean, I admired these guys tremendously, and for a start because they were a kind of a generation before me, and they were on stage when I was in the audience, you know, at the Marquee. So these were the real thing. I mean, it's like back to that again. I was like and even in the band, when it came into fruition, I kind of stayed in that place, really. I was in the audience, really, for most of their shenanigans.
By then, the whole rock blues thing was in full swing on a worldwide basis, you know. In other words, several years before, when not many people knew about it, now it was the music, you know, it dominated everything.
Cream were enormous in America.
Yeah.
And thanks to Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker, in that band in particular, who drew from a varied blues influence between them and jazz.
Yeah.
They went out and played it live to American audiences.
Early 1968, that I first went to America with Traffic as a three-piece with Jim Capaldi and Chris Wood. And so, of course, I think the idea there is I really wanted to stop trying to copy this music.
We were taken into the depths of Chicago. These little white guys, you know. Mike Vernon, who was in charge of our record label, Blue Horizon, arranged for us to go to record at the Chess Studios, and Willie Dixon, Buddy Guy was there, J.T. Brown, the horn player from Elmore James, Shaky Horton.
Being in Stax Bolt recording session, watching Otis Redding record Day Tripper, Sam and Dave cut Hold On, I'm Coming, playing with an interracial band, a white and black band.
And Jeremy playing with J.T. Brown doing the brass section behind, I mean, it was like living out the wildest fantasies that you could possibly want. Peter had a confidence about what he played and felt that he could play, but we were all thrilled.
I had a woman, Lord, who always hung around. But when I lost all my money, you know, she put me down, talking about hard times. You know about hard times, and who knows better than I? Yeah, Lord, you know that one of these days there'll be no more sorrow when I pass away. Talking about hard times, I said no more hard times, and who knows better than I?
As long as you sounded real, they didn't mind if you were white or, you know, whatever. As long as it was real. And I thought, that's great, because I thought I might have gotten a bit of flack, you know, with singing some of the tunes, you know, and being white.
To be blunt, for us to play their music in studios that they recorded those songs in could have gone horribly wrong. It truly didn't. But there was a moment when there was a testing of our situation. I do remember that. And then suddenly, and I hope it, in fact, I feel it had something to do with that they were blown away as to how this little bunch of English kids could sound, and J.T. Brown turned around and go, and I know genuinely was saying, that's pretty damn cool, you know, because it was so heartfelt from us bunch.
When they would do tunes that had been recorded by, shall we say, Big Boy Crudup, Muddy Waters, and so on, whoever wrote the tune, man, ought to have been glad, because it became a hit. And it was sold to many more people than they were ever able to sell it to.
That was the beginning of those fantastic bills where you get the Freddie Kings, you know, playing with Richie Havens and Fleetwood Mac and Janis Joplin.
Then I noticed then that white America started paying attention to blues. And so it started opening a lot of doors that had been closed to us.
Like Albert King said, he was staggered by the Fillmore was packed, you know, and he just had no concept of how it could be that what he was playing could be appreciated by so many people, you know. And white people, you know. Where did they come from?
And we were having fun. We had a lot of fun. But musically, I kept stepping back and going, this isn't it. This isn't really what I want to do. Or this isn't what I hold up. I mean, this isn't working to the principles that I've been following all this time. And consequently, when I heard music from Big Pink, I thought, well, this is a contemporary band that's approaching where the blues can be taken.
And you put the load right on me.
And it doesn't have to be like because what we're doing is starting to become a bit of a circus, playing into places where all the audience was stoned, you know, doing tours of America, you know, the Fillmore and the Fillmore East, and all kinds of places where, you know, we were encouraged to get to do just silly things. I mean, rambling, meaningless, self-indulgent music, really. I wanted to take it seriously. My music was a very serious thing to me. And I felt like I was starting to betray myself.
Tell me how long, oh baby, how long, since that evening, is that evening train been gone?
My definition of it would be that it was someone making music purely for themselves, in a way, and without any conscious effort to be communicative.
A branch of folk music, that is to say, it's a rather natural expression rather than a contrived one.
It's an uplifting music. I wouldn't necessarily say it's happy. I mean, but it's definitely uplifting, energizing, all those kind of things that you come away from it saying, whoa, that was great.
Well, the blues is so many things, but basically speaking, it's developed into a 12-bar format with fairly simple chord progressions in the first place, which could have been extended, you know, as jazz has got more modern.
What it really means is that the singer or player is actually playing from his heart. Yes. You know, it's like he's singing the truth.
Anybody can play it. It has the magical structure of 3 chords, which you can tie into earth, sun, moon, man, woman, God.
Life as we live it today, life as we lived it in the past, and life as I believe we'll live it in the future, has to do with people. I think that's one of the reasons the kids picks up. It has to do with people, places, and things.
It's kind of like religion, really, blues music. I've only recently sort of started to get the hang of it, you know, what it means, yeah. Like I say, it's a story. When you say Bill Broonzy, listen to his words, listen to his lyrics, or are you listening to the guitar player? And someone who doesn't play guitar will listen to the words and see what they might get it just like that and sort of understand what it is.
It's 2 lines, which are the same. The first line more or less repeated, and the third one which completes the sense. But I think it's more a feeling.
Oh, I guess it's a feel, isn't it? It's an emotion. We didn't even know the words. We couldn't understand a lot of the lyrics to what these guys were singing, but the whole feel.
Yeah, there's no black, no white, and then it's got to do with, you know, it has to do with the truth. The blues is the truth.
It's a kind of a plea. It's a musical plea for something. It's a way of expressing a need or a want.
Could and almost should be a part of all music, and if it isn't, then I feel that the music is somehow lacking.
We're still sitting here talking about something that's so real, so alive, just when you think it's off the radar. I don't think it ever will be, because of the absolute power that it has.
It brings a tear. When I begin, oh, to realize, you know, I cried so much, oh, since you've been gone.
I'm absolutely sure that if you asked a black blues musician whether his life was enhanced, I think they'd say yeah. I mean, that would probably be the better person to ask. I don't know for myself how far the ripples spread, but I mean, Robert Johnson is a household name now.
I just sit and cry. Ooh, just like a child.
The United States suddenly started paying tribute to a wonderful legacy of the roots of rock and roll and blues, and by this reverse of triggering mechanism that came from all of those things in England, the bands going back. And hey, you see the Rolling Stones when they first landed, they're all talking about muddy waters and people, you know, and people are going like, who the hell's he?
That you're gonna be on soon. I believe I'm gonna drown in my own tears.
The Brits took what the Americans culturally threw into the trash bin. There was a definite move to trash that culture and keep it away from white kids.
Oh, some rain. I know some rain is gonna fall.
There was probably a feeling in the early days of blues, English blues, of wanting to bring this music to people's attention, to show them what an interesting, wonderful form it was.
That it just keeps raining, raining, and raining, and raining, and raining. More and more. Why don't you come on?
Without it, I don't think American black musicians and black blues players would have really made it to the extent that they have. Because if you talk to any of them, they'll say, well, these English guys, they came over and they spread the word about us, and they, you know, they made a larger awareness on the world scale.
'Cause if you don't think that you're gonna be home soon, oh, it's alright. I believe I'm gonna drown in my own tears.
It gave people a chance to play and to be somebody and to do something with their music. People who were disregarded and worth nothing at the time over there, as the traditional jazz revival had. It gave people, you know, Americans, something to feel they've done something, you know, to be important, to the music to be important.
Black American culture, if you want to call it, which it is, the greatest art form that came out of America, really. Modern America.
If it wasn't for the British musicians, a lot of us black musicians in America would still be catching the hell that we caught long before. So thanks to them, thanks to all of you guys, you opened doors that I don't think would have been open in my lifetime. Thank you very much.
Good God Almighty.
That was all right, except for that last little bit. Did I not give any indication of?
That was quite good.
Sure.
Yeah. Listen, so you suddenly got a bar.
Take a blues road trip and learn more about the artists and films in the blues. A PBS program club selection. Visit us online at pbs.org. You've been on a musical journey with the blues. Seven films, 7 directors, 7 nights devoted to music that changed the world. The journey continues tomorrow night. Director and piano player Clint Eastwood delves into the history of the blues.
Playing the blues evokes joy, sorrow, happiness, despair, and truth in a timeless fashion.
With the help of keyboard legends Ray Charles, Art Tatum, Fats Domino, Dr. John, and more. Piano Blues. Tomorrow night on The Blues, a musical journey. The Blues is available on video cassette or with additional features on DVD. A CD box set, episode soundtracks, and companion book are also available. To order, call PBS Home Video at 1-800-PLAY-PBS. We've been around this block 3 times. That's 5.
Volkswagen proudly sponsors the PBS film series that explores the power of the blues.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
We are PBS.
Tonight's programs are made possible in part by...
And they said, just let us win. They treat us like we're in the Fortune 500.
When it's morning in Cameroon, who else is going to call you back at 10 at night? I can really relate to these guys. I'm telling you, 10 years ago, I was a Maverick upstart, too.
They showed me point-click guns. And that's my kind of
That's why
technology.
we're here. Build the bank, they wouldn't give us time of day. These guys, it's a whole new ball game.
And a man ain't supposed to cry. And woo, you don't know how you hurt me, little girl. The reason was to figure out. But now that it's all over, I'm doing all right again. You caused me so much grief, babe, so much heartache and pain. And woo, you don't know how you tore my heart to pieces. Thought of you with another man. But I done found me a brand new big leg woman, and I'm doing all right again. Don't think you heard. Doing all right again. Doing all right again. I'm doing all right again. Doing all right again. I done found me a brand new big leg woman, and I'm doing all right again. So much grief, babe, so much heartache and pain, and woo, you don't know how you tore my heart to pieces. Thought of you with another man, but I done found me a brand new big leg woman, and I'm doing all right again. Don't think you heard, I'm doing all right again. I'm doing all right again. I'm doing all right again. Doing all right again. I done found me a brand new big leg woman, and I'm doing all right again. Don't think you heard. Doing all right again. I'm doing all right again. I'm doing all right again. Doing all right again. I done found me a brand new big leg woman. I'm doing all right again.
piano player Clint Eastwood delves into the history of the blues.
Playing the blues evokes joy, sorrow, happiness, despair, and truth in a timeless fashion.
With the help of keyboard legends Ray Charles, Art Tatum, and more. Piano Blues. Next time on The Blues.
Saturday night at 9. Serving the people of Houston for over 50 years. Houston PBS.
Hello, I'm Kelly Rowland, and on behalf of myself, Beyonce, and Michelle, the Destiny's Child, we want to say, Happy 50th anniversary, Houston PBS.
Houston PBS, America's first public television station.
that going out there. I might be a backpacker or something.
They say the mountains with the gaps in them, that's the travel. That's what they were traveling through.
I think this is cool. This is what I've been waiting for.
Nicole Amy is a sophomore at Robert E. Lee High School in Houston. She's one of 24 students who have come to spend a week in the mountains. A week away from the city.
Whew, suck up this air, man. Time to go. Time to go, time to go, man.
That's gonna be like intense. We're going on top?
Nah, man. Gotta have faith. It's on now, man.
Oh, man. We're gonna go to the top.
All these teenagers come from Houston's inner city. They're smart, ambitious, and enthusiastic. But up till now, their life experience has centered on urban surroundings.
You must not like heights.
For most of these students, it's their first chance
Oh, we finally made it.
to see
That was awesome.
a mountaintop.
I want to go higher now.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
I don't know, like in Houston and stuff, there's so much hustle and bustle and all this noise going around. And here it's just, you can hear people's voices, but you hear the wind more, and the wind is like so, oh man. Oh man, this is cool. This isn't high enough for me. I want to come down one. But I know this would be such like a spiritual place to be, I guess. Because I mean, you're so high up, and a human just can't not think about how close you are to God from right here.
Oh, yeah, right. Come on. Stay right here. There go the wrist right there. I love this, man. I love adventure. And everybody's like, ooh, it's too high. Ooh, it's too high.
These teens were brought here by the Korima Foundation, whose volunteers use the deserts and mountains of West Texas as a huge natural classroom.
Dang! Can you believe that's where we were?
Most of the students have never been down a river. They've never been on a mountaintop. They've never been actually out of their city environment. I guess this is almost like taking somebody to the moon. It is such a radical experience.
So Rio Grande.
We were coming down to the muddy Rio Grande. That's Mexico right there.
I thought we crossed this right here. We in Mexico.
That's it right over there, that little muddy bank over there. That's Mexico.
I thought it'd be clean. I thought it'd be bigger with like fences over there.
Yeah, that's like army people.
Yeah, and like guards blocking it, but there's just a little boat. I don't think I'll be going to Mexico anytime soon.
That's another thing. Let's get back on track on water. People try to ration water, and it doesn't work. We found people that have died with a quarter of a canteen of water because they were trying to ration it. Psychologically, they were saying, well, if I still got some water, I'm going to be all right. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't do you any good in your canteen. When you're thirsty, you need to go ahead and drink.
Oh, 3 boys and 1 girl, and no fire. This is horrible. I can't believe y'all guys.
Can I make it look simple?
Monica, can you bring me a piece of stones? My group ain't starting no fire.
It's just practice. It's like everything else. You don't read a book about basketball and then go out and play against Michael Jordan. I mean, you know. Are you getting tired?
Yeah.
Okay. Stop and very easily pull it up. Just very easily. Gather your tinder around there and short, gentle puffs at first. You guys are doing good.
Fire!
Oh, yeah. Keep going. There you go.
I knew you could do it.
All right.
All right,
Love it, man.
What I take home, I think I'm building my self-esteem up, you know.
Oh.
I can do it. That's what I think I can take home. Because like before I came out here, I was like, I know I'm not going to be able to climb no rocks and no mountains and stuff. And like yesterday, we went over there and we was like climbing out on mountains, and I did it. So I think I'm building myself up. I can do more things that I think I couldn't do.
Father God, Lord, I just lift up this day to you, Father, and I thank you for just giving us life one more time, Father. And I ask that we don't take for granted the beautiful just scenes that you have put in front of us, Father God. And I know that you can take care of this, Father, and you can take care of us. Amen. Roll, roll, roll your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily.
Look at them, they're together. Right on.
You're the most out person.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, we're going to spin around here, it looks like. Here we go. Wheel of fortune here. Here we go.
I feel like I'm in the bamboo shoot. Right on. Oh, back paddle. Back paddle. Back paddle. She lost her stick. We gotta get that stick. Oh, man. We worked up a hunger.
You know what I was thinking, like, when we got off the raft, I was like, man, I'm so pumped and stuff right now. I bet you when I get there, I'm just going to run around, like, and then I fell asleep and I woke up and I almost started crying because I hurt so bad. And I was like, what was I thinking? I'm not going to run around.
Okay, I ain't gonna lie. It was hard for a minute. And then we had to work together, and then we got it going on.
Man, I never hurt so bad in my arms in my life. Hey, is there any plants out here that would, like, help sore muscles? They do everything else.
Okay, y'all wanted to sing one together?
Yeah.
Well, let's just do it. What you say? Y'all said you knew Kumbaya, huh? Who wants to start it? Someone's crying, Lord. Kumbaya.
What do you think?
Someone's crying, Lord.
Even though it's solitude, I really don't feel alone because I feel like the presence of God. Then, like, in the city, you got, like, stuff just, like, discouraging you and all that stuff, and you feel alone, like, just because you don't think anybody's going through what you're going through. But out here, it's like there's an understanding between you and God and you and nature.
Out here under the stars, the world seems so much bigger. The possibilities so much greater. These teenagers are beginning a lifelong journey, realizing that anything is within their grasp. Suddenly, those stars seem a little closer than they used to.
All along the coast, and for 100 miles inland, the Namib Desert. Namib means the place where nothing exists, but things do exist. It's full of life that somehow survives its extremes. For people, however, it's one of the world's most desolate and unforgiving coastlines. Scattered along its length are the wrecks of ships, earning it the name the Skeleton Coast.
Crossing the desert at its most treacherous, Sunday at 7.
I'm Jeff Yasteen with the Nightly Business Report News Brief. Positive news in the latest employment data spurred Wall Street to new gains. The September employment report showed the economy added 57,000 jobs, which was higher than economists expected. The U.S. unemployment rate remained unchanged at 6.1%. The markets finished with notable gains, with the Dow jumping 84 points, while the Nasdaq rose 44. The S&P 500 added nearly 10 points. Heinz wants to get on board with current diet trends. It's introducing a low-carbohydrate ketchup product following the popularity of the low-carb Atkins diet. The ketchup, called One Carb, has 3/4 fewer carbohydrates than Heinz' namesake brand. Monday, a look at leadership. We talk with Wharton professor Mike Useem about the people at the helm of corporate America. For more financial news, tune into Nightly Business Report weeknights on this public television station.
Got an unwanted car, truck, motorcycle, camper, or boat to donate to Channel 8? Pickup is arranged and it's probably tax deductible. Call toll-free 1-877-308-2408 or visit HoustonPBS.org, whether it runs or not. Most vehicles welcome. Don't hesitate. Donate to 8.
It all began with a bet, $50 that I could drive an automobile from coast to coast. But this was 1903. We didn't have